You think attraction is about confidence. It's not. Because most men today, what they call confidence, is just noise. Talking too much. Explaining too fast. Trying to be seen. And the older you get, the more obvious this becomes. You start noticing something strange. The loud men fade. The ones performing disappear. But a different kind of man starts to stand out. Quietly. He doesn't try to impress. He doesn't rush to speak. He doesn't chase attention. And yet, attention seems to move toward him. You've seen this man. Maybe at a bar. Maybe in a room full of people. He's not the best looking. Not the loudest. Not even the most social. But there's something about him that shifts the atmosphere. Conversations slow down around him. People notice when he speaks. And women, they feel it immediately. Not logically. Not consciously. But physically. There's a calm around him. A grounded presence. Like he's not here to take anything. Only to observe. And that changes everything. Because attraction doesn't come from what you show. It comes from what you don't need to show. Most men try to build attraction by adding more words, more effort, more energy. But this man removes. He removes the need to prove, the need to react, the need to be liked. And what's left is something rare, something hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. Power. Not loud power. Not aggressive power. A quieter kind. The kind you feel before you understand it. This is what the Stoics understood. Long before modern dating. Long before social media. Men like Marcus Aurelius weren't remembered for how they looked. They were remembered for how they carried themselves. Unshaken. Unrushed. Untouched by chaos. And in a world full of men trying to be seen, that kind of man becomes dangerous. In this video, you're going to see 5 traits that don't just make an older man attractive. They make him undeniable. Not by trying, but by becoming. If you're starting to feel that difference, stay with it. Because the first trait is something most men never truly understand. Most men don't lose their attractiveness with age. They lose something else. Their center. It doesn't disappear overnight. It leaks. Slowly. In small moments no one notices. Except the people who feel it. You reply too fast. You explain too much. You try to fix how you're being seen. And without realizing it, your energy starts to shift. Less grounded. More reactive. Less present. More dependent on the moment. And that's where it begins. Because attraction is not built on what you say. It's built on what you don't need. And the moment you need something, attention, approval, a certain reaction, your presence tightens. You can feel it. That subtle pressure to keep the conversation alive, to say the right thing, to not lose the moment. And that pressure is loud, not in words, in energy. A woman doesn't analyze it. She doesn't sit there thinking, this man is too reactive. She feels it. In the way your attention clings. In the way your tone shifts. In the way you lean in. Just a little too much. Now watch the opposite. A man who is centered. He feels the same moment. The same uncertainty. The same silence. But something is different. There's space between what happens and how he responds. He doesn't rush to fill it. He doesn't chase clarity. He lets the moment breathe. And in that space, his presence expands. You can feel it. Not forced. Not performed. Just there. This is what most men lose as they get older. Not looks. Not status. Control. They become heavier. Not stronger. Heavier. More attached to outcomes. More sensitive to reactions. More invested in being respected. And the more they hold on, the more rigid they become. And rigidity kills attraction. Because attraction needs movement, not physical movement, emotional freedom, space. A man who can stand in a moment without needing it to go a certain way. But most men can't. A message gets ignored. Their mind starts moving. A tone changes. They try to fix it. A woman pulls back slightly. They lean in harder. And in doing that, they lose the one thing that made them interesting. Their stillness. Their center. Their control. This is why you see it everywhere. Men with success, with experience, with everything they thought would matter. And still, something feels off. Because none of it holds. If your internal state is unstable, this is where Stoicism cuts deeper than anything else. Not into your behavior, into your reaction. It doesn't ask, how do you become more attractive? It asks, what controls you right now? Because whatever that is exactly where your power is leaking. And once you see that, you stop trying to control the world. And you start controlling yourself. And that's where the first real shift happens. The first trait is not confidence. It's control. Not control over the situation. Not control over people. Control over yourself. Most men never learn this. They learn how to speak, how to impress, how to react, but they never learn how to not react. And that's where they lose. Because power is not in expression. It's in restraint. A weak man feels something and immediately moves. He answers fast. He explains fast. He reacts just to release the pressure inside him. He calls that honesty. But it's not. It's lack of control. A strong man feels the same thing. And pauses. Not because he's cold. Not because he's pretending. Because he's choosing. There's a gap between the feeling and the action. And inside that gap is where his power lives. Most men don't even see that gap. It's too fast. Too automatic. Something happens. They become it. Anger appears. They speak from anger. Insecurity appears. They act from insecurity. Desire appears. They chase. They don't choose. They react. And whatever controls your reaction controls you. This is what the Stoics understood at a level most men never reach. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself constantly, not to stop feeling, but to stop being ruled. To see things as they are, not as his mind turns them into. An insult is just sound. A delay is just time. A look is just a look. But most men add weight. They add story. They add meaning. And then they react to the story they created, not reality. That's why they lose control. A man with emotional control removes the story. He sees the moment and lets it stay simple. No extra layers. No unnecessary reaction. And something changes when he does that. His energy slows down. His movements become deliberate. His presence becomes heavier. Not aggressive. Not loud. Heavy. Grounded. Like nothing can move him unless he allows it. And that feeling is unmistakable. A woman senses it immediately. Not through logic. Through tension. Or rather, the lack of it. There's no pressure from him. No need. No grasping. Just space. And in that space, she starts to feel something unfamiliar. Curiosity. Because she's used to men reacting. Chasing. Trying. But this man doesn't move the same way. He doesn't rush to respond. He doesn't try to control the moment. He doesn't try to secure anything. And that's what makes him hard to read. Hard to predict. Hard to shake. This is the first trait. Emotional control. Not suppression. Not indifference. Control. The ability to feel everything and still remain yourself. Because once you stop reacting, you stop giving yourself away. And when you stop giving yourself away, you can finally decide What deserves your time? And what doesn't? That's where the next trade begins. Your standards, emotional control, keeps you steady. But being steady is not enough. Because a man can be calm and still have no direction, no edge, no standard. And without standards, there is nothing to respect. Most men adjust constantly. They shift their tone, their behavior, their energy, depending on who they're with. They call it being flexible, being easygoing. But over time, it starts to feel like something else. Like there is no center, no line, no point where he says, "This is not for me." And people feel that, not consciously, but clearly. Because when a man accepts everything, he becomes forgettable. There's no tension, no boundary, no weight to his attention. But a man with standards moves differently. He doesn't announce them. He doesn't explain them. He doesn't defend them. He simply lives by them. Quietly. A situation feels off. He notices. The energy shifts. He slows down. Something doesn't align. He doesn't push through it. He doesn't try to fix it. He doesn't try to hold it together. He lets it go. Without reaction. Without frustration. Without needing to be understood. And that's where the shift happens. Because now, he is not trying to keep the moment alive. He is observing it and deciding if it deserves his presence. Most men do the opposite. They feel something slipping, and they reach for it. They explain more. They invest more. They stay longer than they should. And in doing that, they lose position. They lose clarity. They lose themselves. But a man with standards is willing to lose the moment to protect his center. He understands something most men avoid. Attention is not something you give freely. It's something you place carefully. Because wherever your attention goes, your energy follows. And wherever your energy goes, your value is felt. This is why standards change everything. Not because they make you strict. Because they make you selective. You don't react to everything. You don't engage with everything. You don't stay in everything. And that selectiveness creates space. And in that space, something unusual happens. People begin to lean toward you. Not because you asked. Because you didn't. A woman feels it. She notices the moments you don't chase. The moments you don't overinvest. The moments you let silence stay. Without trying to fix it. And slowly, the dynamic shifts. She becomes aware of your attention. Not because you gave it. Because you didn't give it easily. And now, it has weight. This is quiet authority. Not control over others. Control over access. Who gets your time? Who gets your focus? Who gets your presence? And once a man understands this, he stops trying to be liked and starts deciding what is worth his energy. But here's the problem. Most men try to hold standards and lose them under pressure. Because standards, without discipline, don't last. And that's where the next trade comes in. Not emotional, not philosophical, practical, daily, relentless. Discipline, standards, mean nothing if they don't hold. And most men don't hold. Not because they're weak, because they're inconsistent. They start strong, focused, clear, certain. And then, they drift. They delay things. They break routines. They follow their mood. And slowly, their identity begins to blur. One day disciplined. Next day distracted. One day grounded. Next day, reactive again. And that inconsistency is felt, not loudly, but deeply. Because attraction doesn't trust words. It watches patterns. What you repeat. What you maintain. What stays the same. When everything else shifts. A disciplined man is predictable. Not boring. Stable. You know how he moves. You know how he shows up. He does what he said he would do. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when no one is watching. Even when it doesn't feel good. And over time, that builds something most men never develop. Trust. Not from others. From himself. He doesn't question his decisions. He doesn't hesitate under pressure. Because he has evidence. Daily evidence. Of who he is. And that certainty changes everything. He doesn't need motivation. He doesn't need hype. He doesn't need the right mood. He moves. Because that's who he is. Now look at it from the outside. A woman interacts with him. There's no guessing. No sudden shifts. No emotional swings. He is the same. Calm. Present. Reliable. And that reliability feels rare. Because most people today are driven by impulse. By distraction. By whatever they feel in the moment. But this man is not moved by mood. He is anchored in action. And that creates a very specific feeling. Safety. Not the kind that is soft. The kind that is solid. The kind that doesn't change. Just because the day is hard. This is what discipline really does. It removes chaos. Not from the world. From you. And when there is less chaos in you, your presence becomes clearer. Stronger. Easier to trust. But here's the deeper layer. Discipline is not force. It's structure. It's a life designed in a way where the right actions happen automatically. Where you don't wake up and negotiate with yourself. Where you don't ask, do I feel like it? You just move. And that movement becomes identity. You're not trying to be consistent. You are consistent. You're not trying to be reliable. You are reliable. And that identity is what people feel before you speak, before you explain, before you try. This is why discipline is attractive. Because it signals something most men lack. Control over self. Across time. Not for a moment. Not for a week. Over time. But even with discipline, something is still missing. Because a man can be consistent and still feel invisible. Because there is one thing that determines how others experience you. Before you do anything, your silence. Most men are uncomfortable in silence. Not because silence is empty. Because it exposes them. When there's no talking, no explaining, no performing, there's nothing left but you, your state, your presence. And if that presence is unstable, silence becomes pressure. So they fill it. They talk too much. They joke too quickly. They explain before anything is asked. Not to connect. To escape. To escape the tension of being seen without control. But a man who is comfortable in silence moves differently. He doesn't rush to speak. He doesn't feel the need to respond immediately. He lets the moment sit. And in that stillness, something shifts. The room slows down. Attention changes direction. People become aware of him. Not because he did something. Because he didn't. Because he didn't break the silence. Because he didn't try to manage it. And that creates something rare. Space. Psychological space. And inside that space, people start to feel more. Think more. Project more. A woman notices it first. She's used to men filling every gap. Trying to impress. Trying to keep her engaged. Trying to hold her attention. But this man doesn't. He listens. Fully. Without rushing to reply. Without searching for the next line. Without trying to secure anything. And that changes the dynamic. Because now, she feels seen. Not chased. Not managed. Seen. And at the same time, she feels something else. Curiosity. Because there's no excess. No over-explaining. No emotional noise. Just presence. And that presence is hard to read. Hard to predict. Hard to control. This is why silence becomes powerful. Not as a tactic, as a result of being comfortable with yourself. Because forced silence feels empty, awkward, weak, but real silence feels full, heavy, intentional. You can feel the difference instantly. A pause that is chosen, a look that doesn't search, a moment that doesn't need to be filled. These small things change everything. You stop being part of the noise. You become the point of focus. Not loud, not obvious, but undeniable. This is what most men never understand. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is communication. The kind that doesn't need words. The kind that reveals who is in control and who isn't. Because once a man becomes comfortable in silence, he stops needing the moment to go a certain way. And when he stops needing, he becomes harder to move, harder to influence, harder to distract. And that's where the final shift begins. Not just how you show up, but where you are going. Your purpose, control, keeps you steady. Standards keep you clear. Discipline keeps you consistent. Silence gives you presence. But without direction, all of it stays still. You become calm, but static. Grounded, but going nowhere. And people feel that. Because attraction is not just about who you are. It's about where you're going. A man without direction feels unfinished, not weak, incomplete. There's no pull, no forward motion, no sense that something is building. And without that, attention fades. Not because you lack value, because there's no movement to follow. Now look at a man with purpose. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't need to. You can feel it in how he moves. His decisions are faster. His attention is sharper. He doesn't get lost in small things because his energy is already committed somewhere bigger. And that changes everything. Because now, his life is not centered around people. It's centered around a path. And that path becomes his stability. Not approval. Not validation. Not reaction. Direction. This is why purpose is attractive. Not because it sounds impressive. Because it removes need. A man who knows where he's going doesn't need the moment to complete him. He doesn't need attention to feel certain. He doesn't need approval to keep moving. And that creates a very specific feeling. Freedom. For him. And for the woman around him. She doesn't feel pressure. He's not pulling her in. He's moving forward. And she can choose to move with him or not. Either way, he continues. And that independence creates respect. First, then attraction. Because now, he is not chasing connection. He is offering direction. And direction is rare. Most men drift. They react to life. They follow opportunities. They move based on what's in front of them. But this man chooses a path, a focus, a direction, and stays with it, even when it's slow, even when it's unclear, even when no one notices. This is where everything locks in. Without control, he gets distracted. Without standards, he gets pulled off course. Without discipline, he stops. Without silence, he loses presence. But with all of them combined, his direction becomes stable. And when a man is stable in his direction, he becomes difficult to shake, difficult to influence, difficult to replace, because he is not defined by the moment. He is defined by where he is going. And that energy is felt before he speaks, before he acts, before he tries. So now the question changes. Not, do you have these traits? But, are you building something that lasts? Because when you are, you don't need to attract. You become something people are drawn to. At the end of all this, None of these traits were about attraction. Not really. That was never the point. Because attraction is just what happens when a man stops leaking himself. When he stops reacting, stops chasing, stops needing the moment to go his way. What's left is something quieter, but stronger. A man who is intact, not pulled apart by every situation, not shaped by every opinion, not dependent on every response, just steady. Most men never reach this. Not because it's impossible, because it's invisible. There's no applause for staying composed, no reward for walking away from something that doesn't align, no recognition for doing the same hard things every single day. So they choose something else, something louder, faster, easier to feel, and slowly, they lose themselves in it. But if you've stayed this far, you already feel the difference. You can sense it, that pull toward something more grounded, more real, a version of you that doesn't need to prove anything, doesn't need to rush, doesn't need to chase, just builds, quietly, consistently, without asking if it's working yet, because he knows this kind of man is not created in moments. He's created in patterns, in what you repeat when no one is watching, in how you respond when nothing goes your way, in what you choose when it would be easier not to. And over time, something begins to form, not loudly, not suddenly, but undeniably. A presence that doesn't need explanation, a weight that doesn't need validation, a calm that doesn't break under pressure. This is what Stoicism builds. Not a persona, not a strategy. A man, one who is solid, in a world that isn't. And in that world, solid men are rare. If this way of thinking feels different to you, don't rush past it. Stay with it. Because this isn't something you watch once and understand. It's something you return to until it becomes how you live. And if you're already on that path, you don't need to chase anything. Not attention, not approval, not even attraction. Because in the end, the men who become undeniable are the ones who stopped trying to be seen and started becoming someone worth noticing.